because this machine is set up to have 100 programs and 100 combinations, we only have room for 4,400 events in the sequencer. So what we have to do basically is we have to go into the machine and we have to reallocate the memory from 100 programs, 100 combinations, and 4,400 step sequence to 50 programs, 50 combinations, and 7,700 note sequence.
Right.
That means we just
Are
did.
you sure? Yes.
Now I just blew out the back 50 programs and the back 50 combinations. Now I got enough room now for 7,700 events in here. Now I can load in the 7,700 step memory from this card.
You formatted the machine before you put the card in.
Exactly. Okay. So now I can do a load from the sequence card. Now it's inside the machine. Okay. Now I've got this is all I need from this. Now what I need to do is load it onto this card. So what I'm going to do is to take this card and I'm going to format this card, this new card here,
for a long sequence.
For a long sequence. Okay. See, 7,700 step sequence, which is button. Well, actually, let's see. Hold it. Yeah, go to button number 9. Move up one page here. You got 100 programs, 100 combinations. We don't want that. No, we don't want that. 50, 50, and 4,200. What we want is a 7,700 step sequence. So we're going to format the card. Yes. Okay. Now that's cool. Now we can save to the card the sequence that's inside the machine.
Right.
Okay. Now we have the card, which has basically, here's all our songs right here. See here, using a 7,700 note, 7,700 step memory allocation. The machine has 11% free left, so it was really used up. Okay. So now we have that on here. Now what we need to do is, let's see, have I got any? Oh, I got another sequence in here. That's okay. I don't want to use all your cards up because you need to sell them. Okay, let's go in here and let's set up our memory allocation. Okay, back to 100 programs, 100 combinations. Right. Now it's cool. Now I can load back in the normal programs, and that's the factory programs. Is here. M1 programs.
What was the title of this?
Okay, this right here is called Ted Alexander sequences. M1 Ted Alexander sequences. So you have that, and let's see. Let's grab another one of those cards down there, and I'll give you the. In Your Face is a good one because that gives you like that. It gives you.
Jump with 7,700 note on.
Yeah, you don't have. Well, you put down 7,700 on just to remind yourself. That's a good idea.
You don't have to load it into the memory though. You can just read it off the card, right?
Pardon? That's exactly it. Yeah. You have to really read it off a card because it's using 100 programs. In other words, it's using programs on the top and the bottom, so it has to be.
You have to leave it on the card.
That's why you have to have a card here for that.
Yeah. Okay.
You see? Okay, so here we go. In Your Face. You can load that bad boy in here.
Is it also a 7,700?
No. 1% free on a 4,400 allotment. Okay. So on that card. Okay, future. Okay, now here we go. We've got this right here is.
I'm trying to peel that sucker off the back there. No crack and peel.
There's that. Okay, this one right here is M1 sequence, M1 SEQ period, and put down In Your Face. Okay. That's that one. You want this bop here? That one that I did. That was,
yeah.
This one that I did. It's Okay. Okay. This is Okay. By the way, I've got another one that I'm going to play for you, and it's like it's a sequence that I did that lasts for over 5 minutes. And what we're going to do is we're going to find out how to save memory like crazy if we don't already know. How to get long songs out of existing memory. Are you hip to the whole pattern mode of the machine? How to get patterns from tracks? Have you done that?
I haven't done it, but I'm aware that you can do it.
Great. Well, we're going to do it.
So like you could play, say, the piano track all the way through the song, then find all the repetition sections, make them into patterns.
Yes.
Then
Go back and erase those spots on the track.
Right.
And re-put
Uh-huh.
the patterns
and
back
only
on.
use it once, and then
You got it.
yeah.
You got it. Okay, now that right there is, okay, I need one more card. Here. Okay.
Start packing these cups up here.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the M1R on the piano together.
Yeah, that'd be really nice. Put the orchestral card and put some real nice strings over the top of it. It'd be a killer.
Because everyone's doing piano strings these days, but when it's really
When
quality.
it's really killer, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, boy,
Okay, this is M1 sequence. This is Lance's Bob.
Lance's Bob. That's yours.
Yeah. Okay, you got that one happening. And I'll let you hit this other one just.
How long have you been with Korg for?
Pardon?
How long have you been with Korg?
Almost 2 years.
Oh, yeah?
Almost 2 years, yeah.
Would you work in retail before? Or?
Yeah, 2 years. I was over Paragon over in St. Petersburg.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you got, okay, this is it. Where's
Probably
that
where I've
box?
seen you before.
You been over to Paragon?
Yeah, I used to live over that way.
We should have another box here. Here, is this it? No, that's, okay, I took the wrong one.
So these are done here, World Omnibus and Acria.
See you.
Yeah, these are ours.
Akira? Yeah, the Akira one?
Yeah,
Do we
right.
have the little mark Akira?
Yes.
Should we still be recording, guys, or should we?
Yeah, you can, I think
Yeah, you can stop right now for the time being. We're going to do something in a minute that might be worthwhile. Okay, you still need a
All
box
right,
for
just
that.
say when, okay?
Okay.
Put it in there.
So cute.
Jake.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to completely clean out the memory of the M1 sequencer. To do that, we have to do two things. We have to initialize the songs, and we have to initialize the programs. Okay, initialize basically means to erase and set up a length or whatever, okay?
It's like a format.
It's like a format. It's just about exactly. In fact, you probably could call it that, you know? Okay, and we can start out with 0, and you just hit song initialize, execute, are you sure? Yes. And you do that, and you hit the yes button again, and it brings up, and you can change it to the next number. 1, 2, okay, execute, song 1. Oh, we didn't, yeah, okay, here we go.
We did 0. There's
Okay.
1, 2, plain.
Oh, that's, you know why? Because we've, okay. Let's show you how to do it. There's a really good way, and this is a hip thing to do with a customer, because it makes you look like you're just really Joe Flash, okay? Man, this guy's really,
Joe Flash.
this guy really honks, man. Check this guy out, man. Look how fast this guy works, okay? So what you do is, you got your sequence in here, right? We have the original factory sequence in here. This is the way it'll come up. Right? This is what we have in here.
Right.
Now we're going to go in and we're going to initialize the songs. Now we have songs in here.
Right.
Yes? 1, 2, 3, click. 1, 2, 3,
Yes again.
click. Bap, bap, bap.
Yeah. In other words, hit yes again, then hit the page
You
up.
get bap, 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 bap. Wow, man. Really, man. This guy's really slick.
It's a ribbon number 28, I think.
Okay. Now we go up here and we're going to initialize the patterns. You know. Oh, by the way, the pattern button is button 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There you go. See, record pattern.
Right.
Button 6. A couple pages up takes you to initialize patterns. Just for your knowledge, I think the patterns go up to either 13 or 14 in the Don sequences.
Oh, okay.
So that's all you have to initialize. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Right, pattern by pattern, you can't like a erase with a block, can you?
Right. Okay. 100% free.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. Now global. Now what we need to do now is go to the MIDI page, which is MIDI button, which is button 5. It's a MIDI button.
Okay.
By the way, on a machine in edit combination, edit program, or in sequence, the effects button is 8. Okay. You want to go to your effects, just go to button 8. Okay. But what we're going to
still get to it by scrolling through.
You can, yeah. But you learn.
You want the bingo bango?
Hey,
8.
global MIDI button, button 5. There you are, right? Okay, one page up, and now we want to do one thing that's extremely important, and that is turn off the aftertouch.
What's that?
because Aftertouch sucks
Sucks
memory
so
big
much.
time.
Right. Okay. I'm with
Amazingly big time.
that.
Okay? Now, here we are. Now let's go back because we're going to do a demonstration sequence here now and show all this stuff. So we'll go back to song 0, and the reason is because I know what the effects are on that song.
Right.
Now I'm going to go to the effects page. The effects button is button
10.
8.
8.
Okay? There we are. It takes me right to my effects. Okay, I've got a decent exciter. That's good. That's to make it sound neat. And the second effect is a hall, but I happen to know from experience that it's too wet right now for what I want to do.
Right.
Okay, because that metronome's going to go, you know, like that, you know.
Yeah, slap
So what
back,
I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it up to about 80 for the purposes of demoing with a customer,
Right.
so that he's not going to be hearing tons of reverb. Okay,
Oh, 80%
Dry
dry.
to
80,
dry to
80,
effect.
20, right? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm just going to do that. That's how I'm going to prepare him. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a song here, and we're going to take track 1. Oh, track 1 is going to start out by being drums, and I'll just use drum set number 9. And I'll set my volume to be about 60 on the drums.
Okay, yes.
Volume. Here's my program, here's my tempo, here's my measure number, here's the track number, right? Okay. Oh, you know what I ought to do? I
Turn
probably
the
ought to turn my metronome on. You know something, since I'm doing drums, this is going to be a funky, groovy drum beat. I think I will quantize while I'm recording.
You can do that.
I can do it while or after.
Oh, show me how to do the while.
Okay, we're going to do it while, right here. The next page up is here. Okay?
Resolution.
Now, what resolution is that right there?
Nearest 8th notes.
Wrong. 64th notes. That's
that was
8
the
notes.
reason. Remember when we were sequencing that day?
This thing doesn't quantize. This thing won't quantize. I got it on 8 notes. It's not
That's how you
quantizing.
roll in terms, and this is
Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Quarter note divided by 4 would be a 16th note. A quarter note divided by 2 would be an 8th note. Quarter note divided by 3 would be an 8th note triplet.
Right.
How about that?
Ah.
Okay?
That's what that slash means.
Are we happening?
It's a fraction.
Are we happening?
Yes.
It's a fraction.
That's
Okay.
very helpful.
Okay, here we go. Now, here we go. Now, as soon as I kick in and start, obviously I get 8 beats for free, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. For the purposes of change, okay, now I have the hi-hat part. Track 2, same set of drums. Bring the volume down to 60. See, with these, you know, this thing is so hot, the output and stuff like that. You're better off to get around 60 and then figure out, you know, so you don't overload any of the effects at the end. But you know, I generally start around here, you know, that kind of a thing, because this thing is just it's nuke them till they glow. Okay, now right now we're actually I just did an 8-measure verse segment and an 8-measure chorus segment, right?
We're going to pattern extraction is what we're going to
Exactly. But right now we're operating in linear mode, right across the track. Okay. Mistakes here.
It's all right, we'll let it slide.
No, we're not going to let it slide.
Oh, we're not? Oh,
We're going to
erase
edit that bad. No,
All
we're
right.
going to edit it. We're going to erase it.
We're gonna-
Let's find out where the problem really actually was. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Okay, measure 9, 4th beat.
4th beat.
Measure 10, 4th beat.
Right.
Okay, so let's go on to track 2. Here we are. The event edit button is button 7. Okay, edit button is 7. There you go. Now we could, if we want to, go in and edit patterns, but we don't have any patterns. So we want to event a track, but you can event edit either one.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to event edit track number 2 by choosing the track number, see, right, which it already was there since I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, hit record and start, and there we are. Measure 1, index number as far as the first thing that happened in measure 1 happened at beat 1, clock 00, which there are 48 clocks per quarter note. That it was a note, and it was a C2, and it was a velocity of 102, and it lasted for 28 clocks. Okay? Okay, what we want to do is bump up to measure number 9, right? And then we want to move over here until we come up to 4, and that's what we had, right? That's what I really want, is that. That's E2, E3, E4, so what I want is, I want, there you go, okay? 10, you with me?
Yeah, following it right there.
Yeah, I understand it.
Okay, got me now? Okay, now, let's say this is like the generic thing I want to do with the drums for the verse and the chorus, okay? So that's cool. So now what I want to do is I want to bounce them down to one track.
Merge.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to button 5, which is the nice middle place to go because it gets me, button 5, 2 pages down, gets me to, 2 pages down, gets me to the copy bounce page. I want to copy because that means replace with. I want to merge.
Right.
Okay, we don't call it merge, we call it bounce.
Okay.
Okay, it's all terminology. Okay, so we're going to call it bounce. This is really set up great. It just says bounce track 2 to track 1. Just straight ahead, nothing fancy. No Japanese. We're going to see. We had to make a choice. Copy. We're going to bounce track 2 down to track 1. Are you sure? Yes. That also erased track 2.
Right, I understand. Automatically erases.
It automatically erases the from track. Okay. Now our drums are on track 1. Now we're going to go to track 2, and now we're going to assign a bass to that track now.
Slide vibrato, how'd that happen?
Aftertouch.
Oops, I thought you took that off.
It didn't record it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay?
Yeah, I understand.
Because I filtered it out.
I understand.
You're going to hear it.
You're going to hear it.
You're not going to hear it next time.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Track 3?
Did you quantize that?
Yes.
You did.
But you know something? I don't think I'm going to quantize the piano. Are you with me here?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay? Folks, what I just did was, I went in here on the next page and turned resolution to quarter note 48, and then now we're not doing the piano. Now, track number 3 is going to be... have 3 tracks, and I just went in. I like to hear all the parts playing along with you. I like to do it linear. Okay?
Sure.
So now we got this, and we're down to 88% memory left. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, let's just say, hey, I just want to do a groove that these things just keep repeating after each other and after each other. Okay, realizing right off the bat that a pattern can be only up to 8 measures long. Okay, so we're going to make 2 patterns per track. Okay, on each track, one pattern will be from measure 1 to measure 8, and the other one will be from measure 9 to measure 16, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the pattern page, which is the pattern button, which is button 6.
I get the bronze.
You're even now. You're even.
All right.
You're even.
All right, because I called 8 before, and that was
You
a
called
X.
You said
No,
10.
you said 10. Yeah, exactly.
10,
It was 10, but it's now you know it's 8.
Right.
6 is pattern.
Because now he's even. Round. Now we're down square one. Okay, now we're going to go back here and start out with 0, just for the purpose of this. And obviously, since we're incredibly organized, like all musicians always are, we're going to have a piece of paper here, and we'll write all this down, and just to let us know as we put this incredible composition together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start here, and we're going to go up here 2 pages, and we're going to initialize some patterns. We're going to make ready some patterns to receive this data. So pattern 00 is going to need to be 8 measures long. Okay. Then on pattern 01, set it to be 8 measures long.
We're going to be 6 patterns actually, because a pattern can only be 1 track wide.
Exactly.
Did you hear that, folks? A pattern can only be 1 track wide.
Okay, now we've got a bunch of patterns here. Let's go back to pattern 00. Now what we want to do is we want to go to the next button up. Next page up is the get page. It's the get page.
Get the get page.
We want to get our pattern. What does it say?
Get from track.
Get from track. English
Source
here.
and
We're
song.
talking human being people speaking words
Get
that
pattern,
understandable,
get pattern from
right?
track, yeah.
Okay. So now 00. Let's go to track 1 just to keep things in order. 00 is going to be gotten from track 1 starting at measure 1. That's the first half of the drums, right? So we're cool there. Execute, it's done. Bring it back up again by hitting that button, same button again. Pattern 01 is going to come from track 1 starting at measure 9.
Okay. Okay.
See what we're doing here?
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay,
Following right along.
here we go. 02 is going to be coming from track 2 starting at measure 1. 02 will be the first bass one, first 8 measures of bass.
Right, I get it.
Right? 02 is going to
Track
come from
2,
track 2 starting at measure
measure
1. 03 is going to come from track 2, measure 9. 04 is going to come from track 3, measure 1.
Right.
05 is going to come from measure 9. Okay, now, we are now down to 76% free memory. Okay, now, right now we presumably have the exact data that was on the tracks is now not only on the tracks, but is now also in patterns, which means we now have redundant memory.
Dump the tracks.
Why don't we? Button 5, back up 1 page, track erase, 3, 2, 1.
So you have tracks open.
88% free.
Yeah.
Now we have no song.
Right.
But now we go to,
Now you can get pattern assembly.
now we're going to go to the put button.
Put.
No.
The put button.
There's get and put.
Get
Okay,
and put.
the
Source
put-
and destination, like you said before.
The put button is button 5.
Okay.
Put.
Put, copy,
Copy.
paste.
Okay,
Insert
we're not going to
pattern.
copy because that actually writes the data back onto the track.
Right, okay.
We just want to loan it to the track, so that's a put.
Right.
A loan is a put, okay? Okay, so we're going to put pattern 00 onto track 1, starting at measure 1.
Right.
Bump the measures right up, didn't it?
Right, yeah.
See?
Measure 9, right?
Now let's put 01 on track 1, starting where? Right there, right?
Track 17. You next.
See? Back to 0 again.
Right. Right.
Still with me?
In a row, yeah.
Okay, now we're going to take 02 on a track 2,
Right.
right? See what I'm doing? You follow me on this?
You just put the patterns up in a certain
I'm
row,
alternating 'em.
alternating it back and forth,
Okay.
just assembling
Now-
them to a song.
Now,
Form.
a track can have linear written data on there along with
With
patterns.
the patterns.
At the same time. I could say, hey, the bridge is going to go in here, I'm just going to play it in. It's only going to happen once, I might
Yeah.
just write it on the track.
Yeah.
In which case I would do a punch in, punch out.
Yeah.
In that hole that I left because I didn't put a pattern there. So I left that hole free on the track, and I went in. I did a punch in. I told it when I wanted to punch in and when I wanted to punch out. And I, back it up a few measures before, let it run and record. And as soon as it got to the beginning of that measure, it'd go into, and I'd start playing, and it would record that. Okay. So you can have linear and pattern data. Okay. Now, 4 is going to go on to track 3, right? 4 and 5 is going to go on to track 3, right? You with me?
Yes. 4 and 5. You just done one longer than the others.
You know what I'm going to do? Okay, try it.
You just erase track 3 and redoing it, right? Redoing the patterns.
There you go. So it's the same with them.
I now have 105 measures. Look at my memory.
81%.
We'll use 1% of memory.
No, I used 7. 7% of memory.
Okay.
To the
It was
sign track.
88, now
It was
it's
88.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just going to jam these two phrases over and over.
405 measures. Yes.
Because I'm favor sequences or pattern oriented.
Yeah.
One overflow those kind of things.
Well, pattern right sequence is a great way to save memory.
Yeah, that's exactly what. I like that because I can play memory all the way through the song, tweak it, then patternize.
Now, you know what you can do here to save memory? Say, sometimes I want crashes, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want a little extra fill. Why don't I just have another fill here on track 8? It's a drum fill track.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I do a little fill and a crash.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm using generic bass drum patterns.
Right.
And every once in a while I do a fill on that right there, right?
Right.
And that would be the way to do it. So we're talking economy here, okay?
Sure. Right.
So here we are. So that's one way to do it. That's going from linear to pattern. Now let's say we had a verse that was 12 measures long. We'd have to break the verse down into 2 patterns, because a pattern can only be 8 measures. So have to break it down in pattern. We do like an 8 and a 4, or a 6 and a 6, or however you want to do it, right? But you can do like a 12-bar blues, like my Lance's bop.
Yeah.
So it's a 12-bar blues twice. So I had to, you know what I actually did? It was a thing that I actually played it in linear. And then I tried to figure out how much.
Oh no, you could kill yourself.
So yeah. So what I did is you made 3 8-measure patterns. You can do it that way with 3 8-measure patterns.
Yeah, I know.
3 8-measure patterns would be 24 bars.
24.
You could do it that way.
Right.
You
You
make
know what I
2
mean?
courses.
The middle one would be split.
It just be split in there, yeah. But you'd never hear it. Okay. Now another way to record a pattern is, let's do a drum pattern. So let's go back to the track that has the drums assigned to them, so we can hear drums.
Right.
In other words, that when you're going to do a pattern, set up a track with the drum sounds that you want. Okay. Oh, by the way, the cool thing to do here would be to the piano. Let's put the piano over on one side.
You're panning now.
I'm panning the
Band
piano.
pods.
Right?
Band pod.
Should be. Yeah, where does it go? Okay. Now, let's go back and let's get our track here. Okay. We have an empty pattern, pattern number 6. Let's get a pattern number 6 to be 4 measures long.
Okay.
Okay, and there it is. Pattern 6, execute is 4 measures long. Now, pattern 6, let's do the same thing with the drums. 16th notes, right? Metronome on.
Right.
Now we got a wraparound.
5,
3, 2, 3, 4,
4, 2. Cut it in, cut it in, cut it. Right, okay.
Right? This is easy to do it that way too, right? However you want to do it. How many patterns in the machine? 100. 0, 0 to 99.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in other words, you could make up to 99 patterns.
Yeah.
Of 8 measures in length.
Up to 8 measures.
Up to 8 measures.
Anything from 1 to 8.
Okay.
Okay, so, depending on what your preferred approach is, you can go at it from either way. You know, let's do a punch in.
All right.
Okay? Let's do a... Okay, let's do a punch in at measure 17 on the drums. Okay? So over here, the RP button, punch in, see?
So you want to
Record and play, punch in.
I get a P in, yeah, punch in.
Punch in, okay, page up. Now that changed. See here? My next page changed now to my punch in information, right? So I'm going to punch in at measure 17.
like a drum fill or something.
I'll do a bridge.
All right.
Okay, we'll do 4 measures, 17 and 4, 7 and 4.
21.
There you go. Punch out at measure 7, measure 21. Okay. Okay. Now I've set my punch in point and my punch out point. Now go back to 0. Now watch what happens. Now I want to go right to that measure. So okay, I could either tap through this right here, or I could go to the measure thing and tap like that, right? Or look what I could do.
Yeah.
It knows how to stop.
Yeah.
You just do it all the way up and it'll stop at your punch in point.
Right, that's great.
Okay, now, if I were to back up 2 measures,
Give you like a little lead in time.
there'd be only one problem there. I wouldn't hear the drums. Because if you start playing in the middle of a pattern, you don't hear that pattern.
That's why I say you have to start at the top of the pattern.
You have to, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
right.
Okay?
Okay.
So start at,
So you have to start 8 measures beforehand.
start 13.
It's like breaking
Excuse me,
the
15. 16.
Or you know what I could do is I could just do 17 and just have a 4 measure countdown.
How do you do that?
I'll have it count itself in.
Yeah.
Right. Right, at the metronome counting in.
Okay. Whoops. Okay, I can't do that. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Can't do that. Okay, now I gotta re-quit the pattern at measure 17. Track 1, measure 17. Oh, I know what it is, because you know why I had done that? I had something there. Okay, I forgot to put those things in there. Okay, measure 17. Okay, put 00 on track 1, measure 17. Okay, great. Now we should be okay. Measure 17. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll go. Okay, we will do a punch in, and what we'll do is we will punch in, do an A major punch. 7 and 8 is 25. Okay, there you go.
Right, okay.
Just something just to show you how it works. I'll tell you what. Let's bring it back to 9. Okay. Very, very good here.
Punch.
That's how you a program change in event edit mode. So we pushed the and we'll have to do it in patterns because these are patterns in here, right?
Yeah.
And so we discussed that we had nothing playing at the beginning, so we got perfect hold to put program changes in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the edit button, which is button 7. Okay, never misses.
7, no.
7. Okay, now, and so we went to button 7 and it came up track, and we changed it from track to pattern, and then we found pattern 04, which is the first pattern. It's the verse pattern.
Yeah,
And then we hit record and start.
Right.
And it brought us here, and what we did is we had measure 1, event 1 was a note. We needed to create another note so that we could change it to a program change, and we took that, then we backed up to the first one because that's going to happen first.
Right.
And then we took our location, measure location, and brought it back to measure 1, okay? And now we have our D5, which is a note. But if we take our value slider and crank it to the top,
Controls.
we have control numbers, which is not what we want.
Program.
We back it up one thing down there, and we now have program.
Right.
right? Now we move over here to program numbers and we find ourselves 51.
Can you just punch that up here too?
No, you can't punch in
Oh,
over
can't
here.
punch, you have to
You got to do
scroll.
it over here.
Okay.
Okay, now that's cool. That's good. Now we have a program change for this. Okay, now let's get out of that.
We have to program a change back into acoustic piano at the top of the verse pattern.
Yes, exactly. Now we're going to go to pattern 05 and hit our, we're there and we hit record here. And there's a note right there, so we'll insert another one, right?
Right.
Go back to the first thing
Right.
and bring our time back to beat 1.
Back to 1.
And change the note to a program change, which will be 01. Okay. Still being done in the same MIDI channel. Okay, so it's going to be the same MIDI channel. Now, an interesting thing about that is this. We can also set this thing up so that a track cannot play anything at all, or so that it can only play the internal MIDI channel, the internal program that you've selected, or it will not play anything on the inside of that MIDI channel, but it will play an instrument on the outside on that MIDI channel. Or it could play both.
Oh.
For doubling, yeah.
Okay? Or anything hooked up to that MIDI
Yeah.
channel, in other words, right? So, nice
Nice option.
nice options, okay?
Pseudo 32 channel type of thing.
Boy, I guess. Let's see. Okay, so anyway, you got that, right?
Yeah.
So now we covered punch in,
Yeah.
and we covered event editing.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing that you can do is quantization after. Remember, you want to know about that, right?
Right.
Just go up to your quantize button. 7.
Cool.
I always forget what these things are, you know what I mean? There you go. Okay, so we got, okay. Quantize here. Now, what's interesting about quantizing is this. Let's say we did with the piano, right? We did, okay. Well, at the same time, everything on the piano track is actually patterned, so we can't do this. But if the piano part was on the track, and we said, you know, the piano has a nice feel, but this one part needs to be a little stiffer.
Yeah.
It's between measure 4 and measure 6.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've got stuff like I got a little pitch bend in there, and I don't want to touch the pitch bend. I just want to touch the notes.
Right.
Okay.
On off something.
Watch. Track 3, starting at measure where? 6? Let's say 6 to 8, right? So measure 6 for 2 measures. Length.
Length. Yeah.
See length?
Yeah, see.
Measure length.
Yes.
And I want to quantize this at 8th notes, and I only want to quantize the notes, not the control data, or not everything. I want to do just the notes. See what I mean? And that would now take those 2 measures of the piano.
And round them off.
Isn't that great?
Perfect.
Isn't that slick?
That is slick.
Okay?
That is slick. I like that.
Isn't that handy? So it's like the more you get into it, you can
The more it
also
opens up and
the
just-
more it opens up, and it becomes like a really
Goes up to the naval workstation.
really helpful, real helpful. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who are sequencing are not doing incredibly complicated sequences. A lot of people are doing them like out in the gig. They need to just, you know, a nice basic drum part, guitar part, maybe a nice pretty keyboard part, that kind of a thing. Just basic stuff, and they're going to play
Basic
along with it.
notes and pads.
So based on the pattern thing, okay, on the pattern concept, you could probably get maybe 3 songs. If you didn't get completely crazy,
Yeah.
and didn't use Aftertouch. Why don't you use Aftertouch?
Because it eats memory.
Like crazy.
Same reason you use pitch bend a lot.
Now, let's
We're gonna
say
use Aftertouch for playing over the stuff and just transmitting out or using
Yeah.
something internally.
If you use Aftertouch Live is what I do.
Right.
It's the best way. If you want something to swell or add vibrato in a delayed fashion, program it into the program. It eats up less sequencer memory. Something like a little delayed LFO.
watch
or,
this. You know, if I could just go in and take off that Aftertouch. That Aftertouch just through it. I could go in through Event Edit and tap everyone out individually,
Yeah, but no,
which would take me 3
no,
years,
you
right?
don't wanna do that,
So
no.
what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase on track 3 control data,
Right. Right.
right? You can do that too. So, more and more features all the time.
Right.
It's more and more features all the time. This thing does so many things, I can't believe it. That's kind of a thing. They come in after they get it home and they start digging in. They have a problem, they figure out how to solve it, and it's just one more problem they've been able to solve because it's so wonderful. It does so many things.
Yeah.
And that's just, and obviously you're hearing that every day anyway.
Right.
But these are little things that just really need to know. Why would I copy a pattern to a track? Why would I copy it instead of put it?
Oh, I understand that. Once you put it in the track, you can put in subtle changes for, like, say, like the third verse, almost like the first verse, but a little busier or a little pushier or a slightly different tone or whatever.
Or, after all is said and done, you know, I really probably should have quantized it. So what I'll do is I'll copy it to the track, I'll quantize that section,
Just that section.
and then I'll
Extract it back from the track into
back
pattern.
from the track into the pattern, then erase that track at that point again,
Right.
and re-put the new quantized track back on the track. So in other words, another way of thinking of patterns is the word macro.
Yeah, a macro workspace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
This is Ginger. She's our piano instructor here.
How you doing? So that's okay. So see what I mean? Copy,
So
put.
he's going to teach me. I'm going to be giving M1 lessons now.
So you don't need another unit on top to do all this stuff?
No, this is all in terms built in.
Yeah. Oh, new sounds. There's a drum card coming out with 28 new drum sounds,
Oh,
new
boy.
drum samples.
PCM
We're
card.
talking timpani. We're talking Indian and you know,
The
Japanese
percussion.
ethnic
Yeah.
percussion.
Good.
A new pedal close hi-hat, and there's going to be a drum kit in there. It's basically going to be like TR-808.
Oh, good. The Jam Boys love it.
The Jam Boys are going to love it. They can throw the 808 away. It's
Yeah.
really nice.
They never had one. They were discontinued 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, they're looking for them everywhere.
I know they
People
are.
are. So anyway, you're going to have an 808 in here. Okay, another thing too, they're talking about like putting a Bosey on a card.
Terry Blasio?
Having a Bosendorfer
Oh,
on a card.
Bosendorfer.
The one card, one piano.
Wow. Takes the whole.
Takes the whole card.
That's great, though.
Sure, of course.
Because you have a really long sample.
Yeah, exactly, and that's still, I mean, you could still do, I mean, I'd rather do it on 2 megs.
I have a question for you. Would it be possible to get a long sustained piano out of this by going into double mode, taking the piano waveform, putting an initial delay on its end on the second one's envelope? In other words, if you've selected piano waveform twice, put a delay and a reasonably slow attack on it, so that it fades in, kind of fattens up the initial.
Well,
you know what I'm talking about.
Well, the
get
loop
George
itself
to-
is infinite. So it's just
Yeah.
simply a case of the envelope, so you can just
Yeah.
re-envelope it.
So I was noticing that,
Just
the
re-envelope.
waveform loses a little richness as it leaves.
Well, that's because it's using a short sample
Yeah.
and looped.
What I'm saying
So the
is,
problem is there's no way you could, because that's all there is.
yeah. What if you called up each time you played it a second piano
Yeah.
sample and laid it behind
No,
the
because
first
then
Do an
you have
artistic fade.
Are you with me?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, a really musical solution, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Every song.
Okay. I mean, let's face it. How many times have you really wanted to do that in a song?
I forgot.
Yeah, I stopped counting at 1. Okay? Okay, so now, here we're back to 0 again, okay? Now, oscillator 1, instead of doing, let's do something that's actually kind of hip. Let's go here and let's have it.
PK time fast. JX, DW.
Okay, now, oscillator 1, we'll bring it down a little bit real quick, right? And oscillator 2, we'll bring it up. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So they're going to be, huh.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay?
On the brass?
You started with the brass.
It's the original.
All the changes you see him do make it back.
Okay.
That's great.
Can you do that?
Cheer.
Want to try it?
Go ahead, John.
No, seriously. No,
no.
I'm not. No, this is not a
Yeah.
test. I mean, just would you like to try it and we'll
Yeah.
walk through it so you
I
can,
would.
so you get your hands on it?
Okay.
Okay. Why are we choosing this sound?
Because of its
Here goes the questions.
Yeah.
The
That's
envelope, the
envelopes.
waveform?
Not the
You know,
way-
you're going to tell them, why are we choosing this program
You
here?
be the customer this time.
Well, the customer will never ask them this.
Okay.
As you talk to the customer, you're going to say, I'm going to choose this brass sound. What we want to do is we want to make this thing sound like a mini mode.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to choose this program here because of its envelope.
Okay. Because of the-
Okay, because of the wow.
Right.
Okay,
What it does.
edit program.
Some full orchestras.
We know right off the bat it's a single oscillator program, which is not what we want.
Okay.
We want 2 oscillators.
Double. Okay.
Double the
Good man.
Okay.
Page up. Okay, now we know from memory now that there's a whole bunch of goodies in the back, right? So let's go over here to our multi-sound,
Okay.
crank it clear to the back,
Build the slider up.
and start backing up with buttons until we find our square wave. There you go.
All right. 89.
Okay, now bring your level down to 30, because this thing is so fat, it'll blow the guts out here.
Can you
Bring it down
audition? You can audition the sound as you're backing it up.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. See, you're gonna hear a piano right now. Because the piano
piano's
just
way
got
out now.
the piano just got defaulted. Now pull your foot down to 16. Okay, now page up to oscillator 2. Do the same thing.
Okay.
Good man. Now detune it.
Here?
Well, why don't you find out?
Interval.
No? That's it.
Yes.
See?
The D.
See?
Gotcha.
D for
Okay.
D2.
Oh, what? 6?
13.
points? 13?
That's what I generally use.
So you can audition it
Now.
as you're going.
There it is,
Now,
right there.
now page up to your first filter page. One more page. There you go, filter 1. You need to go, just in the way of doing things, crank your filter up. Okay, like. Okay, fine. Okay, now,
Page up?
now just let them hear what it is. Okay, now, effects page. Well, let's thicken it up. Effects page is button. Good man. Check out this pup. Okay, now let's find us a chorus.
Shipment in there. We were down to like only 1 or 2 for
Whoops.
a month or so.
Back up.
Now we've got
Choose a chorus for effect 1.
You can just have it.
Chorus 1 is the one you want.
Yeah, you use yours.
There you go. Page up. Now crank your modulation up just to give it just over here. See, like that. Now listen to it. Okay. Now effect 2. Okay, now effect 2 needs to be a stereo delay.
Okay.
You can back up 2 buttons from the chorus. There you go. That's what it is. Okay.
Okay.
Page up. Let's go for 350 on one side and 500 on the other side.
Okay, that's left and right, right?
Yeah, so there's your left. Close enough for rock and roll. Okay. 500, just crank it as far as it'll go anyway. Okay. Now, it may be a little too wet, so go for about 80. 80.
That's about right there.
Now you got your setup, right?
Echoes bounce back.
Okay. That's how you do it. Compare. Yes, you can program it.
That's good too.
You okay?
It's got a good mini mode in it too.
Now, okay, I'll tell you what I want, man.
Okay.
I want a dry kick drum,
Okay.
and I want
A whip.
I want a dry kick drum. I want
He likes the whip.
I want a dry kick drum. I want a gated reverb on the snare drum, and I want everything else with a hall reverb
Okay.
on the drum kit number 9.
All right.
Why is it called number 9? You have a
Program number 9.
Program.
Oh,
Nine. Just drum.
I want a dry kick drum.
Okay.
I want a dry kick drum. I want a snare drum with a gated reverb, and I want everything else to have a hall reverb on the drum kit.
Oh, I see.
Can it be done?
Of course.
How?
Well, you call it the drums.
Yeah.
Okay. Page up. Drum kit 1.
That's it. Yeah, we got the right drum kit. That's drum kit number 1. So how do we do that?
You gotta find the individual drums.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start at it from rear end. Watch this. Okay. Let's go to the effects page, and let's talk about serial and parallel.
Right. Right. I know how you're going to do this. The bass and
Okay.
snare are going to go into 3 and 4 with either dry or some maybe some excitement to give them some oomph. and mix them back into 1 and 2 after the stereo reverb that you're gonna put on it. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Got it.
Playing tracks.
Okay, what we want to do is we want to go to parallel. That's what we need. Okay, we need to run in parallel. Why is that? By the way,
Hope we're not.
Perkins. No, I just was worried about that because I went to Perkins and had this major sandwich, and I said, I hope I'm not blowing these guys away.
You're having it.
You're all right.
Okay.
The M1 melts in the middle.
Okay, parallel effects. We got 4 outputs here, right?
Right.
Okay, in parallel effects, anything sent to outputs 1 or 2 gets effect 1.
Right.
Anything sent to outputs 3 and 4 get effects 2.
Right.
Okay?
That's in parallel.
That's
in
parallel. Okay, and don't forget that outputs 3 and 4 can be panned back to 1 and 2.
Yeah. That's what we're gonna do.
Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to first of all say parallel,
Right.
and then for all intents and purposes we're going to pan pot 3 back to 50-50 over here between 1 and 2. And same thing with output number 4.
Right.
Okay, so now anything going to 3 and 4 are going to be heard. If I didn't do this, you wouldn't hear them
Right.
because they'd be coming out 3 and 4,
We don't have holes.
and we don't have them hooked up.
Right.
Okay, so now we're cool here. Now we've got a drum set. Okay. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to hold it. Oh, I just goofed up. Go back and do it again. Drums. Parallel. Okay, parallel. And so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just write that in for the time being. Okay.
Right.
The
Yeah.
program. Okay. Now I'm cool. Now we know here that it's drum kit number 1. So now we need to go in and go to global drum kit number 1.
Right. I get it.
We want to take our kick drum and send it to C.
I get it.
And we want to send our snare drum
Which is
to D. Okay?
Question.
How did you get the instrument panel?
C and D. What are those corresponding?
Just push the button underneath.
Outputs 3 and 4.
Oh,
See here, look. See, I got. Look here. See here.
Think of this output system as
See, we got a pan over here. You know, basically 1 to 9 or whatever, 5 and 5. Or I can go to C or in the middle, which is C and D, and catch both of
So
them.
that way they don't have numbers again, meaning output
Yeah.
numbers.
Exactly.
Right. So when you
Okay.
do the numbers, think of it
Now
as
remember, D
a
is
4x2
being-
mixer.
Now D is already being panned back, right? Well, let's go back to the program. Meanwhile, back at the ranch. We have our parallel thing here, right? And we said we want on effect 1 to be a hall,
Oh, yeah.
okay? And then effect 2, we want to be delay early
Oh, you're
reflection,
gonna do that way.
okay?
Okay.
Well, that's stupid. I wanted the kick drum dry.
Right.
Right?
Right. There you go.
Ready?
Simmons Thompson.
It's like a soft mixer.
Yeah. It's a software mixer. It's a 4x2 mixer essentially. So what I was saying is that
Okay.
as long as you wanted that snare has its own ambience, with the bass and the snare and C and D from the exciter and just
Yeah,
goose
but
it.
then I couldn't have 2 different verbs.
Oh, you have 2 different reverbs. I didn't see you do that.
I've got a hall on some of them,
Oh, okay.
and I've got a gator reverb on the snare,
Oh, I
and I've
did-
got a dry
oh,
kick, right?
Okay, you put a gator reverb in the
See what I
snare.
mean? Gator reverb.
Right.
And
Now I understand. Yeah. But you picked the combination program for 3 and 4 that has a delay on one side and a reverb on the other.
right,
Gator
I just
reverb.
didn't use the delay. I set it to dry.
Set it to 0, yeah, on the effect level.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
Okay. So how you get your effects? Now this would also be done in a song. In your song, here you go to your effects page and do that kind of a thing, and then in your song, in your panning here. Okay, in your panning here for a track, like the bass. You still have it? Okay.
Hello.
Okay, now.
Hi, Mommy.
would be hip. This, do we still have that? We still have it, okay. In this sequencer, we have a, let's just copy the effects from that program, 09, to the song.
Right, I understand exactly what you're
We can
doing.
do that. To the, you know, because we're in the song right now, right? We're going to copy the effect from the program 09. Okay, now, that's what we have in the song now.
Right.
Now we can go, and the bass we want to be dry, let's say.
Right.
Okay, so we'll go to our track parameter page, which is where all our panning happens and all of our final volumes and all that kind of stuff, which is button. The track parameter button is button number 4.
There was a hint there.
Yeah, he's.
Track number 2.
We're
Okay.
slow. We're slow with those numbers.
No, that's okay. No, I'm just doing it. I'm just letting wait and then that. You know what I mean? That.
I'm getting in my house.
Yeah.
I want this to be dramatic, man. I want you to remember this
Oh,
stuff.
you're letting us feel stupid by
No,
ignorance.
no, I don't want you. No, I don't want. That's not the mean. I want to do this dramatically because I really want you guys to remember this obnoxious guy that came in and remember how I said it, so you remember what I said.
No, I
that kind of thing.
understand that.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, track 2 is the bass track, right? Okay, let's send it to the dry one,
Yeah.
right? So now we got ourselves a dry
Get
bass.
Oh, bass guitar. Sit in the dry. 3 is what you did.
Dry bass drum.
Dry bass drum, dry bass guitar also is what he's
Dry bass guitar.
So you put it into C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you put the pan in a sign control, bass guitar into C. That way it receives no effect because the C is just the delay. If you want the delay.
I see. Okay.
He could conceivably set that delay since it's not on the bass drum at all. Set to a real short doubling effect, and put the bass through it and have a double bass. You might want
No,
to
I
try.
didn't copy that. I didn't copy that, Tom.
The effect combination.
From program 09.
No, I'll check it.
Didn't copy. Here, it didn't copy.
Huh.
Very
Probably
possible.
the wrong order. It gets
No, it couldn't have been because I've been recording into it.
25 after 4.
Thanks.
Both of you guys gotta take off the gig, right?
Yeah. 6. 6:30.
Okay.
I'll
Effect
try to
copy
stay
from
right there.
program.
I'm already packed,
Alright.
so. Oh, you got a pack, right?
No, it's not copying into the song for some reason. I don't know. But for the time being,
You just set it manually.
we'll just set it manually and that's okay. Okay, now we can pull the piano down a little bit.
There you go. David Snare. Bass drum is
Okay? Parallel and serial. Okay? Serial means anything, serial is anything sent out A and B gets effects 1 and 2. What if you wanted something to get, some of the things you wanted to get both 1 and 2, but some you didn't want to get both 1
You
and
set
2?
it up in serial, you've set the output to C and D on the things you only want in effect 2 and pan to 50-50 back.
Exactly. Anything sent to 3 and 4 in serial, pan back to A and B, come in after effect 1 but before effect 2. Okay?
Yeah. I don't know
Mean,
those.
it's a mean guy right here.
I don't know those page numbers, do I?
That's okay. No, that doesn't make any difference, man, because you know the material. That's all that counts.
I'm with you on it.
Because I can't remember half these page numbers either. You know, it's like.
I just scroll up and down until I find the one that looks right. You know, I
Yeah,
operate
same here.
semi-intuitively.
Yeah, that's
you know.
that's basically.
You just develop this speed through a lot of practice.
Yeah, exactly. That's all.
You know.
Okay.
I could find this stuff, but it would take me longer. You know, that's essentially what it is about too. So you put it in serial,
Pretty slick, huh?
and then put, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to jam, man.
Yeah.
So effect one could be a stereo echo, and that would be the bigger thing, and then the smaller things would be on, like, say, a room reverb, or let's say a hall reverb, and then so A and B would receive both effects, whereas C and D would receive only the second effect. So you could have reverb without the delay.
Now, let's see. This is pretty happening here. Okay. Now, let me get this thing back in order.
Reblast.
You can choose right or left. You can have octave up, octave down, those kind of things. You can have key windows, just like on the M1. Key window up, key window bottom. Okay. Like, for instance, here's a thing that you were not aware of here. Bass, guitar, and drums. Timbre number 5.
Yeah, has a jazz guitar in the middle. It sounds more like a daddy bass, to be honest with you. So it is a daddy bass.
It's just like an upright.
See, I thought it said bass guitar. It's
No,
bass
upright
slash
bass,
guitar.
and then.
That's what I didn't know.
I knew the drums would be upper octave.
No, it doesn't cancel. It just stops when you lift it up. There's no release on any of them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But there is on that.
Yeah. Ah, that's one of the things about the
That's
drum
interesting,
kits.
isn't it?
One of the things on the drum kits like this. What I like doing on some of these is taking the kit, the drum kit, putting the hold function off so everything
Yeah.
stops when you 11 keys.
Yes.
Then take your gate snare at a fast tempo and make it gate various lengths to go to the tempo of your music. At a fast tempo, you can do that.
You know what we haven't done? We haven't done step recording.
Boys and girls.
Boys and girls.
Boys and girls, mommies and daddies.
We haven't done step recording. Let's just-
On the longest day of your life. Let's see this. Over here, quick.
We're ready.
Come over here. Okay. Let's do it on a pattern. First of all, we're going to find a set of. Okay. Pattern 6. What do we? Let's see. We got several patterns here. We got something here. Okay, pattern 14. Okay, pattern 14 now. We're going to set it to. Okay, great. Okay, pattern 14 has been initialized to be 4 measures long. We're going to step, now here, pattern, page 1 up. Step recording, pattern step recording.
Right.
Pattern 14.
Right.
Okay, now,
What are those steps?
third, let's go for 30 seconds.
Yes,
And we don't need to dot anything, and we don't need to triplet anything.
That's right.
We also don't need to do continue for Korg. I'm a product specialist. I'm not a salesperson. My job basically is to, every once in a while they send me a box with something in it, and I have to learn how to work it. And what's really bad is I have to read the manual. It's like you guys do, right? So I'm living proof you can actually read a manual and learn how to work something. Sometimes it's really hard though. And I work the southeastern United States usually, and do things like this, and do conventions and stuff for educational people and all that kind of stuff. It's a great gig, and it really is a great gig. And it's also a really exciting time to be working for Korg. I'm sure you're all aware that Korg has a greatly enhanced reputation lately for some really good, solid reasons. And this is like Korg's, I guess, 26th year now. Korg's actually been around a long time, just a lot of people don't really realize it. Korg's sort of been noted as being the, for a while there, we kind of got a reputation as being the budget keyboard. People like Poly 6, well, we all wanted an Oberheim, but we could afford a Poly 6, but it was hip and it was great, and we got the job done. And we sort of went through that kind of a trip, and then the M1 came out. And I understand it. I've been working with Korg now for about almost 2 years now. This summer it'll be 2 years. About a year and a half ago, some interesting things that were going on as I came in. I was noticing they were going through some policy thinking. And the policy thinking that they kind of started going through was this. We're not as big as a Yamaha or Roland. We're not nearly as big as those companies. We're not the big corporate giants.
Not yet.
Well, yeah, the idea was basically, you know, there's no way that we can come out with every product in the entire universe for every kind of price and that kind of, we're just not set up that way. We're not that big in it to do it. So what we're going to try to do is, number one, upgrade our profile and just try to be known as the company that makes something that's really hot. Not necessarily the cheapest, but something that's really, really hot and is financially attainable. And so that's kind of what, and now I'm seeing the results of those policy decisions, and I'm seeing some results that you don't even know about yet, that nobody's supposed to know about, but when they come out here in the next, you know, year or two, I mean, things are really going to be getting exciting. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I've got Paul here with the guitar. I just wanted, you know, because he's a guitar player and he may not be interested in the keyboards and stuff, so I kind of like to kind of run through this thing first. We have a new piece of equipment out that's called the A3. Guitar players, historically, have been going to music stores, buying lots and lots of pedals to get the great sound. What's the problem with pedals? Lots of problems with pedals. Mismatches of signal levels, noisiness. They're not as high quality as rack mount gear, but the rack mount gear is more expensive. Number two, the rack mount gear a lot of times is technically beyond what a lot of guitar players can grasp because they're not used to all this high-tech stuff that us keyboard players have gotten forced into learning. Basically what we did is we came out with a piece of equipment called the A3. You can throw everything away except for the amplifier and speakers. The thing has 41 effects in it. 41. Distortions, overdrives, EQs, exciters, speaker simulation programs, pitch shifting, reverbs, various reverbs, delays, cross delays, stereo delays, ensembles, flanging, phasing, rotary speakers. It just goes 41 effects. Those effects are made up into 20 chains. You can have one effect going into another effect. You know, that kind of thing. And you can have some of them going through each other at the same time as other ones are going along side by side to create certain sounds. This is not just a guitar processor. This is a signal processor for everyone, for studios, for vocals, for drums, for strings, and for guitar. It just so happens that the first 50 programs are guitar programs, but there are also bass programs, kick drum programs. There's a vocal program in here that is an EQ controlling a compressor for de-essing, running through an exciter, through a pitch shifter, through a reverb for lead vocals. So that's basically it. What I want to do now is just let you hear some of the guitar sounds, because this is really exciting.
How many effects at once?
6 at once.
You can do 6 at once.
6 at once. And it's, oh, the other thing for guitar players is this. It's actually easy to program. It's right, you went into the inside.
Yeah.
You can actually look at it and it's pretty straight ahead.
Any 6, like say
No.
a long reverb and a long delay and
There are 20 chains right now, but there's more coming out. There's 20 chains right now, and you're stuck with what the chains have. But some of the chains have multiple delays and stuff, but there are more things coming out.
What kind of amp are you running through here? Is it just
We're running
plain-
straight through the PA system,
Oh, okay.
completely dry through the PA system, but you're going to hear effects. Let me know if it's too loud.
Crank it up.
Okay, we'll run through one. Okay, now basically this program utilizes a distortion, EQ, an exciter, a modulation delay, and a hall reverb. The wah-wah pedal is also part of it, it's just not turned on. We can turn it on by pushing a button and not turn it on. Okay, here's another one. This is called tubes. this. In the back are 2 inputs for pedals. You can just take a regular old volume pedal like you've used for years, regular old volume pedal, not a controller but a volume pedal. There's 2 pedal inputs in the back. All we're using here is just a regular old volume pedal, and that's what's being used as the wah pedal. Now in this program we have a chorus. Now this pedal becomes a thing that brings in the modulation for the chorus. So hit a pretty chord and then bring the pedal up. Okay? I hit it, bring it back. See? Bring it up. Okay? Yeah, down you got your modulation in. Performance oriented. This is a performance processor. Rockabilly is another Basically, it's called the A3. I just want you to hear it. It's the kind of thing where it also has a headphone jack on the front. It's the kind of thing. This is my my sample that I'm carrying around. They will be getting them in. They have them on order. Just as a guitar player, just come in when they come in. There's a foot pedal that comes with it that I don't have yet. It's brand new. That you can actually, while you're playing, kick in the effects in and out, just like you do with pedals. And change programs at your feet and all that kind of a thing. It's a performance-oriented thing.
Any idea what it's retailing at?
To
the point? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be selling a little bit over 1,000, like about $10.50, $10.95 in that price range.
Okay.
Any parameter control?
Total parameter control over every effect in every chain. Complete. And you can make your own. Like for instance, a guitar player will be able to actually come up. You listen to the record, like if you're doing a copy thing. Listen to the record. Come up with that guitar sound right off the record, write it in with the name of the song. If you're running with a sequencer live, have the sequencer change your programs for you.
That's what we're doing right now. It's just kind of funny that this thing is coming out now that our guitar player has the 80A preamp and just bought a Quadverb.
I hear you. I hear you, man.
It's like he's gonna
and if he ever sees this thing, it's gonna be the worst day of his life.
Because he's just spent hour upon hour.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, just keep him away. Don't let him come down here.
No, I won't even tell him.
You don't want to do that to him, man.
Those sounds are great. The amazing part to me is that it always seems like whenever you turn your pedals on, whether your volume control is down or not, you get this. And it seems like even with the distortion as maxed out as it was in
You heard nothing.
There's nothing coming through there.
Extremely quiet.
Really great story. I love to tell stories. There's a dealer there's a real special dealer, and he was up in Nashville, and he got a couple of these in out of the first batch that came over. And he calls up one of his buddies who's like one of the top top Nashville session guys. And he was in the store, and he says, hey, take this thing home with me, tell me what you think of it. So he gives it to him, the guy takes it home. That night, this guy has this big session. The studio, he shows up at the studio, and these big studio players there, they use cartage companies. These are the companies that carry all their equipment around and deposit it at the various places in time for the sessions. The cartage company didn't show up. The guy's got no equipment at the session. He's sitting there like, oh, what is life all about? right? He says, wait a minute, listen, I got this thing that Sam gave me out in the car. Let's see if we can do something with it, because, you know, you got to do something, right? And they bring it in, and it's the killer story, you know, the engineers are bouncing off the walls, and the guy's freaking out, everybody's banging each other over the head, they're coming up with the great guitar sounds, the session was saved, and everything was wonderful. It's that kind of a piece. It's a kind of a piece that if you're a guitar player, you can run this thing through a stereo amp and 2 cabinets and you're done. Or a couple of small combo matched combo amps and you're done. If you also happen to have a home studio, you can use it for your vocals, for your drum mixes, and all that kind of stuff. You can use it for sound processing for that. You can use it in your PA system. If you're a keyboard player, there's a million uses because it's a major processor. So it's just it's a very exciting piece. This right here has a capacity with a little volume pedal. You can have one more pedal, by the way, plugged in, another volume pedal that could be used for volume. One could be for parameters, changing like wahs and stuff, and the other one's for volume. And that's it. And that with a little foot switch to change programs and kick things in and out, and you just clean your whole system up. Put that in a little rack mount, set it up.
Is it easy to alter the parameters in each program as you go along, and just punch them in and you can store your own?
And you can store your own. It's cake.
In any order you want?
Any, you know, just store the program. But you could do it so you could actually have a foot switch and step through your programs, program up, program up, program
Can you
up.
bounce between them? Or
Yep.
would you have to have another track that was like a random track that you could just hit anyone you wanted?
You're talking about changing programs?
Well, I mean, if you had, say, 20 tracks, like you said, and it worked out, say you used 18 of them for set things, say you turn around and you had 18 songs in your set, and you had, say, 5 or 10 different presets in each song, or something like that, and you just bounce through them, and then you wanted to turn around and think, oh, I'd like to go back to that one and say from song
Well, you can
number
do that
3.
with a foot pedal just by going, you know, by tapping down a number of numbers, like
and get to the number you want.
and get to the number you want. Yeah, the pedals have like up 10, down 10, up 1, down 1.
Yeah, okay.
So you can just tap through them, and you can tap like 1, 2, 3, and it goes 1, 2, 3 like that. It catches up to your foot.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Get
slick.
easy, yeah.
So that's the A3. I just want to thanks for doing that, Paul.
Yeah,
Let's
sorry.
give Paul a big.
Hey, all right.
Good man. Yes, okay. The beautiful thing about this Signal processor is that it's open-ended. There's 41 effects in there, and there's 20 chains of those effects. There's more coming out. You can put a card in that has 9 more chains with more effects. Load it in. Actually load it in, pull the card out, now they're in the machine. Now you have 29 chains. Put another card in the slot, leave it in the slot with 9 more chains, now you got 38 chains. And that card can also contain 100 programs. So now you got 200 programs made up in 38 chains. At that particular point, they carry you away. A babbling idiot, right? Okay, so the idea basically, and there's some really neat things, some multi-tap delays coming out and some really neat other effects coming out, so that's really neat. How many M1 owners do we have here right now? Okay, great. How many people of you are looking at the M1? Okay. How many people of you? How many of you are using sequencers right now? Okay. How many of you people don't know what a sequencer is? Seriously, how many people don't know what a sequencer is?
We have a crowd tonight.
Oh, great. Okay. How many people have a computer in your home? Great. Okay. I presume we all play keyboards. Is that right? Pretty much. Okay. How many of you people have no keyboards at all at home right now? Have no electronic keyboards, any MIDI equipment at home right now? Okay, so you're looking at possibly this is something to get started and get acquainted with this type of a field. Is that right? Okay. What would be a good place to start? The pianos or the M1?
M1's pretty exciting. I think everybody's charged up to it.
Let's go through this. Let's go through this thing right here. The M1 basically, you've all heard of samplers, right? And some of us have had samplers and some of us have samplers. Why we have samplers is because we like to have real sounds. You know, we want to have the real thing. You know, synthesizers were cool, but now it's possible through digital recording to actually have a real sound, and it's really great to be able to work and make music with real sounds. Even though you may not play that instrument, to have access to that sound helps you in composition and arrangement. The problem with samplers is, number one, you have to load them with something, with a disk. That takes time. Okay? Then when you load that in, if you load that thing in, that might fill up the sampler. You may only have room for that one sound, or it may only hold 8 sounds. Okay, and that's too bad. Most people that bought a sampler found out they never were going to end up sampling anyway. You know, where are you going to find a perfect studio setup with a $60,000 Bosendorfer piano with two $3,000 microphones perfectly placed by an incredibly great engineer so you can get a really, really good grand piano sample? I haven't got a place like that in my house. Okay, so a lot of people found out that sampling is cool for certain things, but a lot of things it's just not really that usable. So the idea is most people basically just need lots and lots of really good samples. Okay, so what we did is we made an M1. This doesn't sample, but it's loaded with lots and lots and lots of really, really good samples. They're 16-bit samples. In fact, the entire machine is completely digital from beginning to end, until just before the output jacks. Then it's got to convert it back to analog so you can hear it. The sounds. Even has percussion sounds in it. That's just a few. There's like 44 of them. Okay. Notice the nice reverb? That's coming from here. We're not processing this with anything except what's coming from inside.
Which verb is it in there that you're using?
This particular drum kit is using an exciter and an ensemble hall.
Ensemble hall.
An ensemble hall. And by the way, your effects in here are totally programmable. So in other words, you just don't choose an ensemble hall and that's what you get. You get an ensemble hall that has a 2.3 millisecond with a pre-delay of 30 milliseconds, early reflection level 74, 82 by 18, you know, wet dry. You can actually get in there per program and tweak them just the way you want them.
Yeah.
Okay? So, basically we've got tons and tons and tons of programs. And they're very easy to get to. The machine is able to play 16 notes at one time. It has 16 note polyphony. You can have 8 separate timbres at once. Okay? So basically we have ourselves a MIDI workstation here. We have all of the ingredients, all the sound ingredients. We have the mixing. We have 33 different effects built into the machine. We can have multiple effects at one time. Like for instance, if I want to, I could have like the snare drum could have a gator reverb, the kick could be dry. I could have everything else with a hall reverb, you know, that kind of a thing. I can do that. It's not infinite. You can't have everything on everything, but it's like you can do there's some very, very interesting strategies that can help you make use of your effects to really give your effects, your mix, some really interesting things with panning and so forth.
Okay.
You also have a sequencer built in. It's an 8-track sequencer that is a very, very full featured sequencer. It's a small memory sequencer. It's basically, it can be configured 2 different ways. You can have like 4,400 events or 7,700 events, which is not a lot until you stop to realize that it's also pattern-based, like a drum machine. So you can have, using patterns over and over again, you can multiply that incredibly. Okay? I want to play something for you. This is a little demo sequence that I did. This is like, let's talk realism here. A lot of your, you know, you do the thing sequencing with the synthesizers, and it's, hey, it's really cute and all like that, but that's not a real sound. It sounds like something that was done mechanical, right? And it might be kind of musical, but it doesn't really sound like there are some bodies on the stage actually play something. So this is like a little bebop type thing. And make sure my thing is off there. Okay. And here it is. with it a little bit, it sounds like a CD's playing, right? It's that kind of a thing. What's really great about it is that it's actually pretty easy to do.
Okay.
Yes.
How many samples you got?
How many was
How
I?
many samples?
How many samples?
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you my terminology. A multi-sound is there's 100 multi-sounds in here. A multi-sound is a bunch of sounds that are stretched out across the keyboard. Okay, like for instance, if you're sampling a piano, you're going to have to sample several notes across the
Yeah, well,
keyboard.
I call that one sample.
Okay,
That
we
was
call
one
that a
sample.
multi-sound.
Okay, but that's one sample.
Yes, okay, there's 100.
How many of those do you have? How
We
many
have
like
100.
that? 100.
100.
Could
Plus
you-
44 drum
Could
sounds.
you run through the classification? Do you have strings, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Brass strings, solo strings.
Okay. New
Okay,
sounds.
sure.
By the way, it's open-ended. In other words, there's more coming out. Let you hear a little solo action here.
Are the new programs out? Are they available to buy?
In very small quantities.
Do you like, who do you have to, never
The
mind.
move basically is what I'm seeing in stores is what's happening is people are just putting money down on them, getting in line. There's a waiting list for these things. Okay, I just loaded in. Okay, I just loaded in 2 cards. The card I loaded into the back added another half of a meg worth of samples. I just loaded in a bassoon, an oboe, some more string samples, a solo violin, a harp, French horns, and a pipe organ, and some other synthesizer waveforms. The card I put in the top has more programs. Okay, I'll just go. You wanted to hear the solo things. Then it goes down to a cello. Then it goes down. That same sample is a multi-sound
Yes, I understand.
that we spread it out across, because otherwise we'd have the violin up here and this end of the keyboard would be dead. Okay?
Can you edit these samples?
Yes,
Modify
totally.
the attack or the release
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Individually.
Have you ever worked with a synthesizer?
Yes.
Okay, with the envelopes,
Yeah.
attack, say, okay.
Sure.
Okay, this works exactly like the old Moogs and the old ARPs. You had a choice of like a sawtooth or whatever,
Sure.
right? Okay, this here you can actually have 1 or 2 oscillators, but oscillator 1 could be a real trumpet sample. Oscillator 2 could be a real piano sample.
Sure.
But you have complete enveloping, you have complete filtering for each oscillator, complete filter enveloping, velocity sensitivity for the filter, same thing for the amplitude. It's called a VDA. Instead of a VCA, it's called a VDA, Variable Digital Amplifier. It works the same way except that it has 6 segments instead of 4. Okay? You have that, you have detuning, you can have one oscillator hit later.
When you're editing, can you see what you're doing? Does it show on the...
You see all the numbers,
on the
and you hear it
screen?
immediately.
Uh-huh.
Would you like to hear me do something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's, here we go, what we did today, right? Okay. Okay, that's a brass section type sample, okay? Okay, now, I'm choosing this for one reason. I like the envelope. Let's find out if this can sound like a synthesizer. Let's make it sound like an old Moog. 2 square waves, detuned. Okay? So I'm going to go into Edit, and I see the first thing I see when I go into Edit, it says single. That means I got 1 oscillator. I want 2, so I'm going to give it 2. Then I move up 1 page, and it says oscillator 1 multi-sound, brass. I don't want that. I'm going to go back to the back of the multi-sounds, and I have a whole menu of synthesizer waveforms to choose from. Every one of them. I go in here, and I find myself, ooh, that's the, I'm reading off the card, went past 100. Okay, here's my square wave.
You threw your lever up and went to 200?
No, I went to 50. There's 50 programs in this card here. Okay, now I'm going to pull my level down for that square wave, and I'm going to pull it down to 16 foot. Then I'm going to go to oscillator 2, and I'm going to give it the square wave also. It's soon as I get past here. Remember what I started out with, right? Now let's go in here and detune it. If I wanted to, I could so forth and so on. Then I could go to my effects. First of all, I could go in and I could give myself all kinds of different kinds of envelopes, text and so forth and so on. I'm going to go directly to effects, and I'm going to give myself a chorus. I like the mix of that. That's okay. And then I'm going to get myself a stereo delay. I'll put 350 milliseconds on one side, and 500. Okay, I can go in there and edit it. So basically, now if I wanted to, I could come back here on oscillator 2. Instead of having a square wave, I could put a piano. Bring the piano up an octave. How about 2 octaves? See what I mean? So basically what it amounts to is you can actually get in here and screw with this thing. That's what it amounts to. And that's something that we haven't had for a long time. And it's amazing to have that kind of a sound palette with those. If you work with those synthesizers, you already know how to work this. It's just now you have, instead of having 2 or 3 different waveforms to choose from, you've got tons to choose from. Imagine a drum kit that's in a program that has a filter that's velocity controlled. So when I hit my tom-tom easy, it doesn't open up the filter. So therefore my tom-tom is duller. Oh, what happens in real life on a drum? You hit it easy, it's mellow, right? When you hit it hard, it gets brighter and louder. You know, there you go. So that's it.
One more question. Can you put in a new sample in there, like broken glass or something from the outside?
Right here.
Oh, I see, with a card.
With cards,
Okay.
exactly. Okay. Right now, the memory capacity of this machine is 4 megabytes. That's what's in it. When you turn it on, it has 4 megabytes worth of samples on it. You can't get rid of them. You'd have to take an axe. Okay? Then when you put a card in, you're loading in basically another half of a megabyte worth of samples on board. Yes?
My question is about your sequence, which I loved, by the way.
Yeah.
You were routing straight to the A and B outputs.
Yes, I would.
You were with
Yes,
C and D.
yes, I
Your
was.
drums were in the same outputs as all of your other stuff, and all you did was mix it in the volume. Do you find that that's...
I panned it too.
You panned them.
Yeah. I'm going to do one from scratch, right? I'm going to do the same song from scratch right now.
Right, I'm doing a lot of that. I'm just trying to get the imaging and the depth realistic out of 2 outputs.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I want to know how you're thinking when you're doing it.
Okay. First of all, a lot of that would be done with effects. You're talking about with drums and stuff.
Exactly.
Effects, dry hi-hat.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
Right.
Dry kick, dry bass.
Right.
Something with a chorus on it, and something else with a delay or something, right?
Okay, so you're that fanatical about assigning the effects to each individual voice.
No, I assign it to the outputs, then I assign the voice that I want to receive that effect to that output, and then I pan it back to the stereo outs. You can do
Say that again.
I just showed them how to do it today, by the way.
Say that again.
Okay. In your manual,
Yes.
there is serial and parallel.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Okay.
Okay? What we did is, we went in here, we got a set of drums, and we decided we wanted everything to have a hall reverb except the kick, which we wanted dry, and we want the snare drum to have a gated reverb.
All right.
So we set it up so that it was parallel. Effect 1 got the hall. Effect 2 got a delay, which we turned out to be dry, and the bass and the kick went to that, and the snare drum went to D, and those 2 were panned back to the first 2, and we ended up having all 3 effects.
I see, with effect placement.
Effect placement. That
Okay.
is the key right there.
Okay.
Okay? Now let me let you hear something like that. Oh, let me do this sequence here.
All right.
Right? How hard is it to sequence? How many people have never ever sequenced in their entire lives? Okay, great. Okay. I'm going to start out with a song here. And I'll do here. First of all, I'm going to give the song some effects. Okay. Now, I'm going to do this thing without quantizing. Quantizing, by the way, how many people don't know what quantize means? Quantizing. Quantizing means time correcting. Let's say I'm doing a hi-hat pattern, and I go da 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 da. I don't do that perfectly. I'm not perfect. But let's say it's a pattern of 16th notes. Okay. After I get doing my imperfect 16th notes, I can go back and tell it to correct all those to the nearest 16th notes, right on the money. Or if I want to in this machine, I can do it then, or I can do it while I'm doing it. I can do it either time. I can do it during or after, which is really nice to be able to do that. So what I'm going to do is, this one I'm going to do here, I'm not going to quantize anything. It's going to be like that thing that I just did. It's a swing thing, and we'll just do that straight ahead, and mistakes and all. Now I'm on track, I'm seeing track number 1, and I'm going to set my tempo here to 135, and I'm going to find the piano I want. Oh, okay. Avon calling. Okay, there's my piano that I want.
Is that the 8-foot?
Pardon?
That's the 8-foot.
That's the 8-foot piano, yeah. That's the 8-foot. Okay. Now, bring it 135. Okay, now I'm listening to my tempo. As soon as I'm ready to record, I hit start, and I got 8 beats for free. I don't remember where it was when I started because I have something else in here. Okay? Now, what's interesting about this is this. That was a 12-bar blues, and I went through it twice. Okay? For variety's sake, in a long song, what I would do is I would convert that track into patterns and reuse them over and over again. You know, I come up with a really nice generic type of feel that works. It doesn't sound contrived. It flows not only into its with itself, but also when it comes around again, it doesn't sound, whoops, there it is again. You know what I mean? I do that kind of a thing. Okay? Now, let's find ourselves. Well, so we have several basses to choose from. Let's see, we'll go in here and we'll find ourselves an upright bass, which is exactly what this thing needs. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do some drums. Since I can't play all the drums all at one time, I'm going to do like the ride cymbal and crashes. Now, I just brought up a set of drums. Well, how do you know what key to hit? There it is. There's the ride. You just find out where they are, and that's what you play. Do the kick. There they are up there. Metronome anymore because I got drums, right? Now, if I wanted to, I could bounce the drum track, compress the drum track into one track. I can do that, okay? I'm not going to do it. It's not anything that would really help for you guys. Okay, now.
How many tracks do you got?
Pardon?
How many tracks are there?
There are 8 tracks. Okay. Little horn action. I'm actually a saxophone player. Time to have some fun. Let's say we got this thing here happening, and now we can pan it, because it's got the built-in mixer and all that. So we can go over here, and we can say, let's put the trumpets on one side, and let's put the piano on the other side. Obviously, I can play it back at any tempo I want, like if I wanted to play along with somebody like Red Rodney. If I wanted to.
I like that.
Good. Okay, if I wanted to, I could transpose it. If I wanted to, I could get in and mess with the levels on everything, mix it right. I could go in there and choose a totally different reverb, make it sound like we're in a small room now. Yes.
Can you program it to where you can adjust levels and adjust pans at
During the
certain
song?
times in a song?
I haven't figured out how to change pans, but you can definitely do volume changes.
You can do it?
Yeah, you can do volume changes. You can go inside and do controller number. Volume controller number, a MIDI controller number for volume is 7. So you go in there and you assign a controller number, and well, first of all, you could just do it with like an EXP2 pedal here. You seen one of these? Right here.
Yeah.
So I could go in on another track that's assigned to the same MIDI channel as the track I want to mess with, and I could do this. And I could do this kind of a thing. Although this right here, when you do that kind of a thing, when you're doing up and down with volume, sucks memory big time. This thing is not a real powerful memory type sequencer. Okay, it requires some strategies. Although we did learn a few things today about that, but it's like what I would do is I probably would go in and I would put a controller. I would edit it. I'd put a controller number in, tell it to come down where I want it to be. I would do that kind of thing. That way I'd only need one command. That kind of a thing, unless I want it to be gradual. But if you're into doing things on that kind of a plane, heavier duty, that require a lot more memory and stuff like that, you're better off using a much more powerful computer type program or something like that. That's really a great move there, and just use this as a keyboard controller and as a sound tone generator and a signal processor. One thing about it is, although the sequencer is as really neat as it is, and the more you get into it, the really more impressive it becomes. Anybody who has an M1 needs to buy that book right there. Up there on this wall, right here on this thing right here. There's a guy named Peter Alexander that found out, as we all have at various times in our lives, that the Japanese are not the greatest people in the world when it comes to writing manuals. Okay?
How much is the book?
$27.95. All I can tell you is that this guy is into writing manuals. He decided that, hey, nobody's writing good manuals. I'm going to get in the manual writing business, and he's really good. He's like a graduate of Berkeley. The guy's a hip guy, and he hires people who really know what they're doing. And that M1, that sequencing and recording book right there is very, very, very helpful. It walks you through, just actually walks you through the whole process, gives you exercises to do, and after you've done it, tells you what to do the next step and says, now see what you got now, see what it sounds like. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and to do this we're going to push this button, because to push this button we have to do so and so, and we just walks you through, and it's really a handy thing to have. That's basically how sequencing is done. The beauty of it is having the sounds built in to draw out of the machine at any given time. It's just great because you can just do it all in one piece. Most of what I do in my studio, I do with my Macintosh. But like I was on one of our reps. In fact, the rep that services this store has a tour bus. We're talking Greyhound bus, man. Okay. In fact, Uriah Heep used to travel in it. Big Brother and the holding company. They used to own it, right? This is like serious old time rock and roll bus, man.
Lots of memories in that box.
A lot of memories in that bus. Lots of ghosts, man. And we were up in Georgia and coming from Atlanta going to Jacksonville or something, and it was a thing going from like about it was about 10 o'clock at night. It's about a 3-hour trip, and I'm sitting up there, with an M1 with the headphones on at the dining room table. It's really nice inside, hooked it into the AC, and I just did a sequence. And it's that kind of a thing, and it's really hip because no matter where you are, if you're out at the lake, no matter where you are, you can actually put something down. It's a very, very elaborate scratch pad. A very elaborate scratch pad. It has event editing. It has some really, really trick things that it does that a lot of your other sequencers actually don't even do. So it's real, and it's a blast to work. It's very fun. It doesn't really get in the way. And you'd be surprised what you can do with the available memory if you learn the extra strategies. But it's like, and these guys here, you understand now.
We'll have a better
This
idea.
guy's a little dangerous now, man. He may be a little cocky for a couple
ha,
of
ha, ha.
days.
Too late.
Too late. Okay, so anyway, so he's got some ideas, and he can help you if you're having problems of running out of memory and wondering how to allocate your available memory to get a song of greater length, because that's the kind of a thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the kind of thing you can start sequencing, and you will be out of memory in no time. Okay.
Lance,
Yes.
Why don't you take your blues you just did and extract just a 2-bar pattern of just the one chord, so it's very apparent that that's
Okay.
a cycling pattern. That might
Okay.
be very good.
Do a.
Of just let's say the piano part, for instance.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll even go one step further. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'll go in here and I'll make some patterns up.
Okay,
Just make some patterns up.
that's a good idea.
Okay. I'm going to make some patterns.
The overflow mode, that only works with another M1R or an M1, right?
The M1R has overflow mode.
That does not have
No,
overflow?
this does not have
That's-
overflow.
Okay.
Okay. Let me tell you something. You want to know what heaven is?
2 of them?
No, 10 of them.
Oh, 10 of them.
He's been there.
You got 10, huh?
Let me tell you something, man. What's better than an M1? An M1 and an M1R.
Yeah.
And later on, an
I-
M1 and another M1R.
I have a 16 voice. I have the polyphony problem right now
Yeah.
with the
Well-
M1, and it's squashing out voices and
Oh yeah.
killing
Well, it
me
will. Yeah.
and my music.
Well, I don't know how many people in this room. I'm definitely not one of the people in this room who can afford a Synclavier or a Fairlight, okay, or a Waveframe or anything like that. But if you're talking about 16-bit samples, and if you're talking about lots of polyphony, and if you're talking about signal processing and mixing, and an extremely friendly, creative environment, which is what this is.
Yeah, I love
This
it.
is the kind of a thing where people are used to things being very complicated, and when they get into this thing and find out how it's set up from an intuitive basis, it becomes the kind of a thing that you really warm up to. And boy, you know, you slap an M1R on here, and all I can tell you is this: this may look like a keyboard. That this is the beginning of a system. This is the foundation of a system here. Is what it is. And an M1 is screaming for an M1R. That's screaming for another M1R. It's the kind of a thing. When you're able to, when you find a system that you can really use and you can really create with, I can make a really good argument for staying within that system and building on that system.
What does the M1R do for you?
The M1R basically, okay, for those of you who don't know, these instruments can only play so many notes at one time. In this instance, it's 16. So let's say I'm doing a sequence right now, and I've got my drums happening, I've got my bass going, my guitar's doing something, my keyboards, and I got a nice string thing going on like that. And I go to put in some saxophones, and I go to hit it, and it's like, there's no notes there. Either that or I hit a note and something else cuts out.
That's it.
Okay? That's really horrible. You know, it's great because everything has has finiteness. Okay? So, there's a thing that's called MIDI overflow. When you use your MIDI cables to hook this into the M1R, by the way, this is the ta-da M1R, this rack thing down here, nice and small. You hook it in so that they feed through each other. When this thing right here runs out and gasps, it can reach into the next module, and the next module will take up the slack. And now instead of 16, dynamically allocated. Okay? And so now I have 32 note polyphony. Okay?
You just used that, right?
Hmm?
Did you just use that? I mean, you went
No.
past 16 voices.
No.
You didn't.
No, I was 16.
Is that right? Seems like
My
more.
question is that overflow won't work with any other computer module, sound module. It is specifically in the M1R.
MIDI overflow, it probably
Won't
is for the
work to,
M1R. But I think MIDI overflow,
A lot of machines have it. You know, the
it
Sonics have
might, but the only problem is if you're saying, well, hey, I'm asking for more saxophones. Well, I want those more saxophones to sound like the saxophone.
Oh, definitely. Right.
You know, so you really need to have your machine set up with the same internal voices.
Yes. Okay, so yeah.
You know, you just have a duplicate setting of the internal voices. Okay?
All right.
So that's a wonderful thing to happen. Another thing too, let's say somebody has like a really nice piano. Like, let's talk about pianos for a second. Okay? You want to see a really nice piano? Have you ever seen one of these things before? That's our brand new C9000. This is an outrageous piano. This is like, I'm going to turn it off the PA first. Which one is it? Do you remember?
turn the right-hand knob all the way down. That'll do it.
This one right here?
Oh, the piano.
The piano, that one.
Yeah, I got it. It's gonna go
These
with
two?
10 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
Okay, listen to this piano. Now this piano is basically, you're listening to a Steinway sample. What's really nice is the sample is actually a stereo sample. Two microphones in stereo. When you're playing the piano, the high notes are coming from your right, low notes are coming from your left. If you record it in stereo, you're going to have stereo imaging.
There's something multi-channel going on in this piano. There it is.
I got it. How many people here are involved in music in churches? Okay? Now think about this. This really, really nice older lady bequeaths $50,000 to your church to buy you a wonderful grand piano for the purpose of blessing the saints. You set it up in your church, you get the really great piano tuner to come in and tune it, and then you mic it with the wrong microphone, pointed it to the wrong place in the piano, and run it through a less than adequate PA system. And that $50,000 piano sounds like garbage. That's generally, I don't hear a piano sounding really super great in any churches.
We got a great PA system.
Do you? You have a great PA system?
They do recording and everything.
Great, that's great.
But
That's,
most of them are.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, okay? This basically is a perfectly mic'd Steinway grand piano. It doesn't have to be mic'd in the church. You just run it directly through the board. It sounds like a studio mic piano. Okay?
How much is that? How much is the piano?
I want you to hear it through the PA system first. All right, can you do this?
Sure.
They have a special on this piano. This is called the C9000. This is our top line model piano now. Okay? We have this in stereo, don't we?
We have this in stereo, both those
This is
knobs.
6 and 7.
Yeah, the ones that they have the
What's it?
names of the key modules on them.
These right here?
Yes. Okay, we're up here. We're
How's it paying?
Hard
Okay.
left and hard right.
Hard left, hard right.
So the low notes will come more out of that.
Well, hopefully it's...
High notes.
What's nice about this piano is that it also has built-in reverb. It has built-in reverb, which is really nice, especially in smaller places where you can simulate the air of a larger place. It's a much nicer thing. You notice the strings that I was putting in? Have a seat again.
Okay.
Basically, one little mid-eye cable hooked up between that and the M1R. See, I already have a keyboard. Don't need another one. Okay. What's really amazing about the piano is when you're playing it, the thing actually resonates. I mean, you feel it. You feel it through the keys when you're playing it. It really comes right back at you. It bites you. It's really great. You feel the response, the resonance of a musical instrument, and that's a wonderful thing. You just got this in, right? 'Cause I didn't know they were shipping them yet. This is like brand new. This is called the C9000. We also have other ones. We have like a C600 and a C800, which are basically lower priced pianos.
Is that your
76 key keyboard, and then you have the same keyboard here basically in an 800. 88 keys. What's really nice about these pianos is they also have other sounds built in besides pianos. They have like strings. So these are all MIDI. Of course, anybody who doesn't make a keyboard with MIDI these days would be a complete lunatic anyway. So obviously they have MIDI. They have built-in speakers. They can also hook up to your stereo at home. This can hook up to your stereo at home. They can all be played on headphones at 3 o'clock in the morning when you have insomnia. For those of you who enjoy home recording, and a lot of us do now, it makes a very, very good way for you to get a good piano sound on your recordings.
They're all weighted?
This, amazingly, these right here are lesser expensive pianos. Don't have the action that our more expensive pianos. One of the prices that one of the things that you're buying when you're putting more money into a piano is the action. That thing's got an amazing action on it.
Although, Lance, I will say this: those pianos are comparable in touch to, say, your typical console piano that has the lighter touch.
Yes.
It's not like an organ by any stretch of the imagination. This one has more, say, of a grand piano touch, which is, of course, weighted and heavier.
How many pianos have you ever played that actually felt the same? You know, every piano feels different. Some of them feel incredibly bad, some of them incredibly good. And so these are going to fit in. They're all going to fit in. They're all going to feel a certain way to you, and that's up to you, basically, is what it amounts to. Generally, what happens when you get in our entire keyboard line, we have these things going through like the 5,000 and 7,000 and so forth. We have a lot of different models. And I just did a piano pedagogy. Is it pedagogy? Is that the word?
Pedagogy.
Pedagogy?
Pedagogy.
Pedagogy. It's the weirdest word I've ever heard. And I worked at this conference up in Chicago this last year. And the people who play pianos were there. And these are piano pedagogy. Those are the teachers of piano teachers. That's who these people are at this conference. And they're all there, and all of our companies were in different rooms side by side, and the people were coming in just saying that they felt that the Korgs, number one, they felt the Korg sounded and felt better, number one, and number two, they apparently are acquiring a reputation for being the piano of choice for professionals. People like the jazz piano players that are finally going to break down and buy an electronic piano for their homes for whatever purpose they have. They tend to be gravitating more toward the Korgs. And so that's something else too. And once again, the thing to do is just to sit down and play it and find out what I'm talking about, because they're really, really nice. For those of you who have, how many of you have like one of our pianos or a digital piano at home? Okay? You're wanting to add some sounds to it, and you'd like to add some sampled sounds. Okay? We have a couple of modules. Once you've got a keyboard, you don't necessarily need another keyboard. As long as you have something that can respond to key information, that's all you need.